and just having the same goals as us. And it gave us a lot of room to do a lot of the creative projects that we wanted to do, uh, uh, things that have been on our mind and in our heads for weeks or days or months, and actually bringing them to the forefront and finishing them, and using those tools to do it. Julius, I mean, you worked on a screenplay this year, and now you're in the midst of casting and getting locations and getting ready to shoot and fundraising. For people that have like no knowledge of what you've been up to this year, can you talk about SAFE and the conception of it and your ideas? And obviously, like we are going to publish an interview that you and I did almost any day now. But just if somebody's hearing about all of this for the first time, how do we get people up to date here?
So basically, Safe kind of started in 2021. I wrote a plot outline to a movie that I had wanted to make, and it was born from this vision of just like, there was other people who were making movies in the genre that we were watching, and very cheaply done, but also like some of them are really good, some of them are bad, and it just so happened that I had was on the tail end of a really bad streak where it was just these two movies that I watched in a row were some of the worst things I had ever watched in the genre. But for some reason, the person who made it was gaining like recognition in the industry. Like people who were well known in that genre or whatever were showing up in his films and everything. So I was just like, screw it. Like I could do this. I could do this better, and I can have my own like original take on it and all this other stuff. And from there, we kind of had our on and off breaks, but it was really up until 2023 when we started Ghost Coast Video that I even gave myself the time and the confidence to pursue writing the script to start. And then we took, when we finally said to ourselves, okay, let's go indie, let's do this ourselves and stuff like that. I took time out of my day, to make sure that everything was progressing on the day to day on this project. And basically, like every week, I was doing a couple of pages of the script, and then lo and behold, 1 year later, I collaborated with some friends to make sure that the script's good, make sure it reads well, and all that stuff. But it took a year, but the script's done. And not only is it done, but it's something that I'm like truly proud of. That I can say, yeah, it's a great script and it's gonna bang. And gaining that confidence and that resolve definitely helps a lot. It's one of those things though that you just gotta like it's like when we started off in this company, you start from zero, right? Like you always start from zero. You always have to work out how to get that next client. And the first one's always the hardest. The second one's just as hard, pretty much. And then after that, it just gets easier and easier.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say, boy, the second one gets easier. I was going to be like, I don't know about that. In business, they always tell you, you get your first client and it's just free, smooth sailing from there. But we did, I mean, as we go on here and we'll talk a little bit more specifically about what kind of work we've been doing and what kind of stuff we can offer to like a regular person who watches our show and they want to get their own creative projects off the ground, or they want to get better at business or just whatever it is. um yeah, you're right, the first one or two were both kind of hard, but I think the more momentum you get, the more that things are like in a consistent motion, the more people see what you're doing and like it and respond to it, the easier the whole thing gets. And people start, and this has really started happening, walking up to us and asking us about what we do, and th- just making it really simple and easy. uh, I want to talk for a second
Yeah.
about the people who you collaborated with, because you talked about working with friends to make the script a little better. But I know that you were calling ALU, you were calling your local mosques. Can you talk about just who you worked with to bring it from your own idea that was rattling in your head and being something that you were like, I can do that, to what were the communities that you found that made all of this work smoother and made it into work that you were more proud of?
Yeah, we're not young bucks, right? We're not in the sense of like other very young people who are going to be watching this. Obviously, people older than us are going to be like, "Oh, you're still very young. You don't know what you're saying." But like the people younger than us are going to be like, "Oh, y'all are old or whatever." But like, we're not in our 20s anymore, and I didn't start filmmaking in my 20s. Like when I reflect on the past like 10 years of my life, because I'm 30 right now, and I know you're a little bit older than me, Brandon, not by much. But like when I think back to these past 10 years of my life, like I spent a lot of that time working like gutter jobs. Like I worked jobs that just like they paid minimum wage, or they were customer facing retail, or just like sort of jobs that might have a couple of promotions here and there, but then like outside of that, you're either like the ownership or a family of the ownership. You know what I'm saying? Worked a lot of small businesses in that time. And during working those like positions or whatever, you list like you learn more about people. Like you learn more about how they talk, you learn more about how they act, because how you treat the cashier, how you treat the worker, the everyday worker that's like accommodating you, it's very emblematic of like who you are as a person. And I tried to relate those experiences to my script. But there was frequently moments in my script where I wasn't on. For example, there's a scene that takes place in a warehouse with really bad conditions and stuff like that, right? Though that warehouse scene, like when I originally wrote it, I was not confident about it. I was unsure of the strength of that scene. And I knew what would boost that confidence with me is understanding my perspective. So, like, the perspective that I wanted to bring to the film was a very pro worker perspective. Well, if that's the case, a pro worker perspective on a warehouse that has bad conditions would obviously be the Amazon labor union. So I decided to call them up, and I spoke to a representative who told me like conditions that they were undergoing on the day to day, how the managers were treating them, and all that stuff. And it come to find out that the original scenario that I had planned for the warehouse was actually undercooked. Like had I after speaking to the Amazon labor union about it, I was actually able to dial up some of the mishappenings, the misgivings that was going on in that scene because the real life experience was so bad. But gaining those real life experiences really helped me instead of just me BSing my way through the script, right? So like the Muslim scenes and stuff like that, I had, I'm a Muslim myself, but I need to still make sure that everything checks out, right? Nothing that I'm doing is against the religion. It's not going to be seen in a bad way. So I trekked out with my script in hand, printed out, like showing it to the imam, showing it to the revert group that we had going on there, and just going over the scenes and being like, hey, is this okay? Hey, is this okay? Like certain stuff like that. And obviously it's a movie. So movie is an entertainment spectacle. People are going to be naturally interested in that stuff. They want to picture it in their mind. So, when you're taking little snippets of scenes here and there and you're relaying it to them, it was so easy to just to talk with them and just get that perspective, and make sure that everything is not only authentic and checks out, but also it's entertaining enough for the movie, right? I can't have it so grounded in reality that it's boring, but I need to have it to at least where it's like authentic, real, but entertaining still.
What makes how do you feel about authenticity in Safe, which is your film, versus authenticity in corporate products or mainstream products? What do you think is missing in mainstream entertainment that maybe not even just you, but independent film in general can bring to the table?
People don't talk in idioms all the time. People don't talk in like phrases and like metaphors a lot. People are very straightforward, and they're very like cutthroat when they talk, you know, like they're like my position on the way people talk in real life to me, because I've worked McDonald's drive through and I've served over 300 customers and during a shift, you know, and stuff like that. And you sort of like gain that sort of knowledge on how people talk when you're doing that sort of thing. And that sort of realness that you bring to the dialogue, and you just you know, listening to people, truly listening to people, you know, and observing it and being observant of that is huge, because that will translate into dialogue that works, that flows really well. It's not cumbersome, you know, you're not getting lost in the sauce with you as a viewer being like, okay, I don't know what's going on now. You know what I'm saying? Like, it helps keep the momentum going and it helps flow really naturally. I can't hear you. Hold on. You're talking, but I can't hear you.
Yeah, I muted myself. And Ghost Coast Video is a worker-owned business, which is cool. All of us have stake in what we're doing, which is part of what gives us that kind of freedom to, number one, make those connections with the community, and also you just have other people to balance things off of. And you know that when they're giving you feedback, they've got kind of the same stake as you do. They've got the same interest in getting this thing done as you do. And it's a lot more support than if you were to do a big project like a script or a show or a movie or a podcast by yourself. It makes it real tough.
Yeah, it's always amazing to have that sort of collaborative effort and people who want to see you succeed, right? And people who want you to be a commercial success, because it's not only good for you, but it's good for them too, and it helps lift everybody up.
And we all
You're
have to do
muted
that.
again.
I know. I saw it as soon as it happened. I said, "Oh no, that that's a good sign. We're really back on the grind." But yeah, just we've all got to get better at this talking and communication and networking. You started on Threads a couple of weeks ago. What has the Threads experience been like? We just every social media platform ain't perfect or ain't been perfect. How do you balance all of that?
Yeah, so threads for me, I try to be targeted now with my social media approach, because I think before, Brandon, when you and I worked together on earlier projects and stuff, like our social media presence was kind of erratic and everywhere, right? Like we would discuss very personal things. We would discuss, obviously huge into politics. We would discuss like projects that we're working on, like all of that mishmash. And I think this year I've taken it upon myself to just be targeted with my social media approach. So I've gotten rid of Twitter, and I've gotten rid of or X, and I've gotten rid of Blue Sky as well. I'm just now on Instagram and Threads, and both those platforms are complementary to each other, which helps a lot with the networking front. And I think going into our social media and going into our apps, right, that we talk about, like all these things that we want to do on there. At the end of the day, we have to make sure to our split our life up, and we have to like really split our life up in such a way where when we're presenting it, um there's hard lines that we don't cross, right? Like there's certain hard lines I won't cross on threads. There's certain levels of like surface level relationships and all that stuff. And then because of threads' Instagram connectivity, I've been able to meet people on threads, have that surface level relationship, right? Of like following them, engaging with them, and stuff like that. And then because Instagram is linked, I'm able to easily connect with them on Instagram and take it deeper. Instagram has DMs. Instagram has more personal posts. I'm not saying that I get super personal on my Instagram, but I'll post a picture of like myself, how I'm dressed. I'll post a picture of like having dinner with my family, stuff like that, to be like, hey, I'm a real person. And that stuff has really connected with people, because there's that pipeline of like meeting people on threads into going into Instagram, into the DMs of the Instagram, where we talk about like, hey, let's collaborate on video editing. Hey, let's collaborate on color grading and all this other stuff. Hey, like, you have this really cool project. I want to know more about it. Tell me more about it. Or, hey, tell me more about yourself. You seem very interesting. There's that keeping those levels of like relationships online has benefited not only my professional relationships, but it's also benefited my mental health. Because when I go onto Threads and I'm networking on there, and then I'm talking to people on there, and I'm talking to people on Instagram, it's targeted. It's all people I want to talk to. It's with interests that I like. It's with interests I want to do. And then like between their blocking and a couple of other things that I figured out about the algorithm, I'm pretty much getting served like nonstop good stuff for the most part, right? And then when I hop out of there, I'm like, I'm done. I have the notifications turned off. I don't get those push notifications on. Nah, man, I'm on there for like 10 minutes or something. I'm out. I go back in later on. I'd be like, oh, snap. Somebody new has followed me. Oh, that's cool. Keep it like that.
Dude, how much time are you spending on, are you like putting a curfew clock on your social media presence now? Or do you just do it until the vibe runs out and you're like, all right, enough of that?
Because I'm not in the out, I used to have, so when I was on Twitter and Blue Sky, I used to have a curfew clock. Like so the way I saw it was 5 minutes of an hour, right, is like 1/12 of an hour, right, is being dedicated to Twitter and Blue Sky. And like when I had those limits up for those apps and stuff like that, like I would frequently hit it and feel like I didn't get enough. Whereas with Threads, like I will check my time. First of all, I'm easily able to hop out of Threads much quicker than I am out of like Twitter or the Blue Sky, because I'm less outraged. I'm less angry when I'm on that app, right? It's not only am I being fed stuff that's like potentially like frustrating or angering, but like I'm also being hit with people who don't share similar interests to me or don't share similar opinions to me or something to that degree. And I'm like going back and forth with them, and suddenly I'm wasting my time. Whereas Threads, I feel like I'm being productive 100% of the time I'm on there.
Julius, can you compare sort of what Threads has been like to the experience on Blue Sky? I got a comment here saying Threads is kind of similar to Blue Sky. What were some of the similarities and differences between Threads and Blue Sky to you?
So the similarities are pretty much that they're both Twitter clones to an extent. So they both have the same like text feed and stuff like that. There's still the profile. You still have the pinned comments or the pinned threads, or sorry, whatever they're called. I forgot what they're on Blue Sky now, but like, you still have the pinned posts and all that stuff, the bio, the profile, all that stuff. For the most part, they function nearly the same. There's very little differences, but the differences that are there are really exacerbated across time. Because, for example, Blue Sky, for the most part, you're able to pick what feeds you want, what content you want, and you can just select people you follow and stuff like that for the most part, right? Like you can do stuff like that. You can pick and choose your feeds, and that stuff's great and gets really granular and stuff. But what Blue Sky is missing is stuff like video. That's huge. Automatically, that's huge, because video is the most entertaining form of media out on the web right now. It's what keeps you and I on there on our phones, like engaged a lot longer than any text or image will. That's huge. Threads has the biggest user base. Obviously, Blue Sky has a very small user base. I think it's like at 2 or 3 million. So there's just a lot of people on there, and there's a lot of normies on there. I think that's the biggest difference. Like Blue Sky has a huge like activist crowd, has a huge like sort of like, I don't know. There's a sort of there's only certain demographics that are on Blue Sky, whereas Threads has everything because of how big it is. And so like when I'm writing an article about some rapper, right? And like lyrics in court and stuff like that. If I share it on Blue Sky, those rappers and people who like enjoy that type of music a lot and all that other stuff, they're not really going to be on Blue Sky. Whereas if I posted it on Threads, I'd get a whole different reaction and I get way more traction. And like really, I did that last year with my NBA YoungBoy and King Von article, gained very little traction on Blue Sky itself, but on Medium, the website that I published it on, it popped off naturally, which is great to see. But you would think that the one social media network that I have over 150 followers on at the time would have gained like a lot more engagement, but that's just not the case.
And while you're here, I'm going to just shortly show the screen because this is literally the article that we're talking about. King Von, NBA YoungBoy, and Trap Lore Ross, A Tale of the Internet's Distorted View of Reality. This did pretty well on Medium. Like people were into it. And I was like, I don't know, what is Medium the audience for this? And it was. You got a lot of claps. And you also, this was a pretty well-researched case study. I know you were talking about it for a while when you were in the process of making this. How long did it take for you to put together this piece, the images, the links? It's really comprehensive.
Yeah, it was about 2 weeks straight and about 10 hours, no, 8 hours, 9 hours of documentary watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot. The efforts on that one was pretty incredible, and I kind of said to myself, maybe don't do as hard-hitting articles all the time. Because like I think at that time I was like, man, I kind of want to, make one new article a week and stuff like that. And I was just like, I simply can't do that if what I'm talking about involves like legal court cases and like a bunch of research going back, It's a struggle between that, it's that grind set struggle, right? It's that grind set struggle of like, okay, we got to go back to the content machine and make more content, But like the content you put out there, it has to be good.
Yeah, and also though, like when you mentioned like that content grind, the content machine, we were constantly in this battle of making something really good, and then you've got to distribute it. And the process of making it can sometimes be so long that it's much like by the time you're done making it, you're wiped out. And really, that ability to distribute it, if you want 10,000 views on it, or if you want 15,000 views on it, that process is another process of finding time to do the outreach, finding time to do the blasts, finding ways to contextualize that one piece. And you've got to be able to do it enough to get known for it, because now you've got 105 people who are interested in your thoughts on hip hop history. And you're like, all right, this is going to take me a minute to satisfy those people over time.
Yeah, it's that research hustle.
The research hustle is a real thing. I want to kind of segue from this and invite people to learn a little bit more about what we're doing and show them ways that they can participate. For us, we want Ghost Coast Radio to be like our community affiliate. Obviously, we have the company, and it does social media, and it does lead generation, and it does video production. And we've got a little panel here where we can show a little bit of that as we go. But I also want to help people finish their creative projects, start them, finish them, bring them along, and really to have it work in a way where regardless of where you are on the spectrum of time versus money, like you could be watching this and be like, yeah, I want to do all of this, but 2 loaves of bread and a block of cheese costs $15. I've got to buy food. How am I going to find time for this? Or I've got a day job and I'm grinding on the wage stuff. I've got to keep my head over water here. How do I kind of preserve the ideas that I have and the stuff that I want to do? And finding other people that are doing it and have the resources and have the tools and you can just plug in makes it a little bit easier. Just that process of building community, monetizing it, and working in a group is like big and really important. So I want to, over the course of the next, I don't know, half hour, 45 minutes, whatever the time we're going to take here, talk a little bit more about who we are over the last year, what we've done, what kind of people we're looking for to work with more closely, what we can achieve, and then like learn from people and take the floor and all that kind of stuff. So let's really quickly, because I don't want to be here all day, talk a little bit about the work that we're using. And we are using these tools and systems to make projects like what we did here. I'm gonna just show, this is 2 minutes and it's a big summary of everything that Ghost Coast Video does. Boom, check this out. So political and nonprofit messaging is getting really desperate and really hard to listen to. So I started Ghost Coast Video with the idea of helping people organize in a different way, with real human beings sharing their stories and inspiring each other to take action. There are a lot of things that we can do here, and I want to show them to you. We can take footage from a big event that you've held in the past, take the highlights of it and give it subtitles and music and transitions. We can also help train influencers to spread your message on message. We can also recruit people who already have influence in your world and get them to help activate people. We can help you fundraise. This is a Kickstarter from a video game. We can help you connect with corporate sponsors. This is in the health technology sector. We can also help you connect to local businesses. This is a sandwich shop in Atlanta. Had a great time here. We can also help you organize a political campaign. We raised $13,000 in the first weekend with this city council candidate. We can also help you with location-based targeting, like finding people at a ballot box or an event and giving them your core message. It doesn't always have to be high production stuff either. We can take stuff like phone calls, Zoom interviews, and give them a little sprucing up so that they can engage people on social media. And in fact, you don't even have to have video at all. Everything that we're doing here is a community with the end goal of helping people connect with other people while being their best self. And basically anything that drives people from being a stranger to talking to your organization to becoming a passionate supporter are all ways that we can help you with both video and social media. All of that is happening at ghostcoast.video. Clicking that button is the fastest way to connect with me. Thanks a lot for your time. I know this was a little quick, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway. So that's like what underwrites the creative work that we're doing here. There's not too much to say. It's not like this is a sales webinar or anything like that. But what's the context of what we're doing? There it is. And what all of that means is we've had enough success doing that over the year that we can chase those really big scale events and deals and arrangements. And we can use that to support our friends when they want to make a podcast or write a book or make a movie. And hopefully we do it with enough flexibility that people can engage with it in their own sort of way. And one of the reasons why we wanted to have a podcast network was because, like you said, the content grind can be very tough. You know, you're struggling to keep up with people in what's their Facebook, what's their Twitter, what's their YouTube, what's their Instagram, what's their Twitch. And like right now, this video is on Facebook, it's on YouTube, it's on Twitch, it's on Twitter. So it's a lot easier to keep up with people across the social networks. Like, you know, you're on Twitter and it's like a ghost town. Now you have something to plug into because we have got a lot of the tools. We can help with personal outreach and assets and just a real group of people that you can kind of plug into. I would really like to show, and I'm going to show it in just a second, our podcast network page. We built a little web page and it's got one second here, because it's the homepage for this whole thing. Um, it's got our core podcast, Not Safe for Wonks, which is back. If you haven't watched it, we published a new episode on the 1st. Kennedy has been sick, had an illness, and their partner was dealing with an illness too. So we took a week off, but the show is back, which is cool. And you'll see the Akebelon radio show, which if you're here in Atlanta, is a weekly show that's recorded in the Caribbean Life TV studios at just right in the shadow of Stone Mountain. Y'all know that has like a large immigrant community. And so just reaching out to the diaspora with positive messaging. This is the Empower Hour, and it's just a long hour of talking about relationships with the youth, with the elderly, with ourselves. It's just a very cool vibe radio show. Paperboy Prince is on here. You're going to see other shows from the Classic Network make their way over, hopefully in the next weeks. But you'll see that there's reviews. So when people have like things on Apple Podcasts or any of those things and leave a review of the RSS feeds or whatever, they kind of have a way to plug in. And what's even cooler is there's streaming radio. So just you can listen to the network shows literally all the time. It's running 24 hours a day, and we can do live streams for things that are really important. We can do recorded stuff and just basically taking the work that all of us have already done. And by all of us, I mean like you who's listening to this and you've ever commented or been a part of what we're doing. You kind of have that ability to be in the mix. And also, well, I'll come back and we'll talk about events and stuff. We're sponsoring a film event in town that's next month, and I'm really excited to talk to people about it. But you get the idea. There's just lots of infrastructure here. Julius, talk about the people who you met and want to meet. I know you don't want to be here for too long, but this is the meat of the thing. What kind of people do you want to meet as you go into the new year?
Yeah, so I'm interested in meeting like production crews, studio execs. So we're talking like directors, director of photography, cinematographers, grips, assistant directors, like all this types of stuff. Producers. We've got like I've basically kind of set up I basically kind of set it up to where like when I'm going online on networks such as Threads or whatever, I'm constantly meeting these people based on the algorithm, which is great.
Yeah.
And building that sort of network up. So, you know, we're talking like casting directors, creative agencies, what you call it. You've got theater directors, post-production services, sound designers, film editors, musicians, voiceover artists. All of these are people that I want to meet. And these are all people that I have met in the past too, in the past like 2 weeks. And it's been pretty great. Obviously, I want to continue to meet more, and I know I will. There is this, it's great to have that sort of brain trust of like knowledge, right? Where if I like ask a question or if I ask for help for something, somebody out there knows something that can help, you know? That's what you really want to look for in your group, in your network.
Yeah, being able to kind of tap into those real world projects, from the outreach to the technology to the content to the community building. I mean, if somebody wants to meet you, like if you're watching this and you're like, I want to make a movie, I want to make a short, you've got to go through all of these steps in order to like look credible to somebody on first glance. And that aspect of community can be really hard because it's tough to just even stay up to date for your own self, let alone like, hey, how do you build a following? So obviously, like, just conduct is always a thing that we think about. No isms, no gross stuff, and of course, like just treating people how you'd like to be treated. The golden rule is always a good place to start. But just as time passes, your standards change and they rise. That's just the normal part of any kind of project. If you're watching this, you're good. We're in the rest of the world. These guys have got to get their stuff together. Um, yeah, and we can help in lots of ways. We can help you with a podcast that's under the banner, or if you've got something that you just want us to boost and talk about, or if you just want to be a contributor, just wherever you want to plug in, there are ways for you to do it. And I want to show just a couple more things here, and they are 1 second here.
I just want to say too, on the conduct front,
Yeah.
this has all the stuff that we're talking about today, like pretty much is just lessons we've learned ourselves. Like it's
We've
not like
already
we're
done this.
BSing and being like, no, this is how you do it because this is the way it's always been done. It's nah, like we've literally learned this lesson because like we've tried to like monetize projects based on like the isms and also based on like just not being socially, how do I say it? Our social conduct wasn't the greatest, so to speak, and we've tried to monetize that in those projects, and like it's just not there.
Our social conduct, our content was never based on isms. Oh man, it's but I know, of course, I know what you mean. Like channeling the people's outrage just can be very tiring, and that is work that we definitely did. And it's not
And it
like
did not pay.
well, yeah,
Well, it
but
didn't pay well.
no, I mean, we had a Patreon and we're grateful to all the support that we got from our patrons. But also, if we want to have learning, like teaching people stuff and having like a teaching thing, or being able to keep track of people and putting them on different lists and booking and appointments and calendars for events, all that stuff is just not free. It just can't be. So I want to show people a couple of things. One is our now page. You can go like right here and you can always see kind of what we're doing now. It's at ghostcoast.video/now. And it's just the easiest way to keep up to date with the work that we're doing. You can RSVP for our event in Little Five Points. If you're an Atlanta resident, you've just got to come out in person next month, February 27th. The main screening is going to be from 6 to 8 p.m., but we're going to be down there all day just talking to people. There's an Eventbrite. You can just, your Facebook, wherever you are, you can RSVP for this. And the Creative Network, we want you to sign your name here. It's the easiest way to keep in touch. We didn't keep a mailing list really when we were doing walks. Like once in a while, we would kind of make gestures towards starting one. But when you put your name in here, you put in your name, you put in your email, you put in your skill set, just things that you're good at or want to do more of. And we can just kind of keep you in the mix and stay in the loop. We're talking to sponsors and getting them to participate in the kind of work that we're doing now. Like this event is for an organization called Writers Without Margins that brings literature to marginalized communities. One of those being, returning citizens. They leave jail and society treats them a certain way. This film lets them talk about that first year of being released in their own words, and it's a great movie. You can see the trailer just at ghostcoast.video/ITS. But maybe just as importantly, just connecting with this stuff. We can help you promote and boost your content. We can help you with the costs of this software, like StreamYard and all these other tools that we use. We're just at that place where we can help you out. And really wherever you are, I guess this is the big moral here. We can provide something that helps you get your message out, and connects you with your community and friend group, and we're happy to do it. Uh, and we don't have to pay for it in the same way that we had to in the past. Yeah.
100%. The tools that we use today are make our work so much easier than what it was like even 2 years ago.
Julius, you got anything else that you want to share? How do people follow you on Threads? What has to happen there? Threads/Instagram.
I'm on Threads and Instagram at julius.gcv. Yeah, no, you can follow me and all my antics on there. I post about the Safe Project on both of them. But yeah, no, if you want direct project updates, Instagram is probably your best bet because that stuff, that's where you'll be getting all the behind the scenes stuff as it happens.
Yeah. So, and if you follow Ghost Coast Video on any platform, that really plugs you into everything that we're doing all the time. You're going to see my face a lot there right now, but like in the days and weeks, you're going to see interviews with Julius. You're going to see interviews with community folks. You're going to see more of a Kebulon radio, and it's going to be less of a biz op information, how to kickstart an organization, and more everything that we're doing culturally and becoming a part of it. And it's just going to be real cool. I'm just excited for the time coming. This next month, this year is going to be probably our most prolific, most engaged, most awesome year yet.
I agree. It's kind of weird because like I was sitting down yesterday at the at like the dining room table or whatever, and I was talking to my wife, and it both kind of hit us where like 6 months from now, we're not going to be in the same spot we are right now. Like our lives will have profoundly changed between now and 6 months from now. So it's very interesting to think about, but the world we live in exciting times, right?
Yeah, we've got the rocket fuel, we've built the bus, we've built all of this stuff, and now it's almost like full circle, because now there's like an infrastructure more to plug our fans and our friends and our close allies into. Uh, we had it before, but now, holy crap, it is industrial level, and I'm really excited to share more of the details and show people how to do it for themselves and just letting it go in an unlimited kind of way. It's going to be real cool. Julius, thank you for spending like a whole hour and introducing some of this stuff. Because, it's like rolling a ball downhill. We roll the ball uphill, downhill is a lot smoother.
100%, 100%.
Yeah, so if you're watching on Not Safe for Wonks, or if you're watching on Ghost Coast Video, or if you're just watching me on Facebook and you're like, where's Brandon? What's he doing? Hopefully, this is like a short introduction, and there's just way more to come. I'll probably be on all these channels all the time. So just look forward to seeing my beautiful face as much as you can tolerate. Uh, I think that's it. Thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Bye bye.